I tell you is, I took a year and a half of Spanish in high school. I didn't do so well.
I no habla español. I know cerveza por favor. This was the best of my Spanish.
Excellent. Well, we have a special treat for you in this little keynote. What we want to do is give you a little glimpse of what's been going on in the SharePoint community and about the future of SharePoint. It's really been just converging and going really fast and just building and building. I don't know if you've heard that it's the fastest growing product, revenue generating product in Microsoft history. Where I even heard somebody give the analogy of that if you compare SharePoint and cocaine, SharePoint wins. It's pretty amazing. I don't know if we did this SharePoint EL Futuristico. I don't know if that means anything, but talking about the future. So a little bit of background. I used to work at Microsoft. I was hired in 2000 to work on this web collaboration product that was going to replace file shares. And essentially, I was the kind of built that initial environment at Microsoft, the first kind of global deployment. And I worked at Microsoft for 7 years on the internal deployment as well as SharePoint Online hosted service. Now I work at Quest Software doing product strategy, and one of the things that I've been doing is evangelism. I spread the good word of SharePoint around the world. So that's me. Let me hand this over to Mike.
So my name is Michael Noel. I work for a company out of San Francisco in the United States. And we're a Microsoft Gold partner, and we do implementations of SharePoint. So I do a lot of work with SharePoint infrastructure, SharePoint architecture. We put SharePoint in place, and we've been doing that over the years. We've had from the original versions of SharePoint all the way through 2010 today. And we're seeing tremendous adoption among our clients. There's a very high level of interest in this version of SharePoint, above and beyond even the last version, and above and beyond essentially any other Microsoft technology that's out there. Because we do work not just in SharePoint, also in Exchange, System Center, Forefront, and SharePoint's the one that's really, we're seeing the highest adoption rate today. So in addition to the work I do at CCO, I'm also the author of several books on SharePoint. The one that we're working on, just finishing up right now, is called SharePoint 2010 Unleashed. They may translate it into Spanish. I don't have control over that, but one of our books, actually the Exchange book, was translated into Spanish. Except here it's called Exchange La Biblia or something. But they do translate them occasionally, so I'm hoping the SharePoint 2010 one gets translated into Spanish as well.
I'm here to announce, just hit the market in the rough cuts, the SharePoint 2010 upgrade migration. So actually kind of announcing that during my upgrade session later on today. But one of the things I wanted to kind of give you this glimpse of is this problem that corporations have had. And the problem is about information management. And it's really two things. And I think that our friend Bill Gates has actually illustrated this quite well. He talks about the problem being twofold. First thing we have is information overload. I don't know if you understand this in your corporations, right? So much information. Endless deluge of data. How can we keep up? How can we stay focused on the tasks that are most important? So much information locked up in these, you're inundated with information. The second one is information underload. We actually can't get the information we really need. It's locked up in back-end systems. Only that one guy knows how to get to it. How do we get that information? And really, the more we understand these two problems, the more we actually understand what SharePoint was designed to do. And we can also understand the future of IT.
Because, SharePoint itself is essentially, it's a technological solution to business problems. And in fact, when we go in and design and architect SharePoint environments, we always start from, the business perspective first. So get an understanding, okay, where's the business data? What's relevant data? How does the business run its processes? These types of things. And then we architect SharePoint around that. And because SharePoint is a platform, it can be made to do many different things. We have clients that use SharePoint that are pharmaceutical companies. We have clients that make chips, computer chips. We have clients that are mining companies. We have clients that are government. There's all these different types of clients, and you can build SharePoint into a platform that supports specific client needs.
Awesome. Well, let me give you a little glimpse of SharePoint and where it's been in the past. So in 2001, SharePoint Portal Server and SharePoint Team Services kind of were that first glimpse of trying to build ad hoc team collaboration. And then SharePoint Portal Server gave us an early glimpse of search in the enterprise, as well as some lightweight document management capabilities and being able to do some metadata across our documents in a nice web interface. So together, these two capabilities, real still separate, in Service Pack 1, you're actually able to index SharePoint data, and we had this SharePoint in the enterprise to be able to handle team and document management scenarios with lightweight portals.
And SharePoint 2001 wasn't really an enterprise-ready product. We had less than the clients we had in SharePoint 2001 were less than I could fit on the sand. I mean, it was really that little. There was just, I think, 3 or 4 that we had that put it into place. So it really didn't get any adoption at that point or any traction. But yet that's when I got involved with it, because I was an exchange specialist, and SharePoint, the 2001 version essentially ran on the same database engine as Exchange. So I was the logical choice to be able to do that. So at the time, I wasn't too happy about it, because SharePoint really wasn't well baked yet. And it did get better.
In fact, there was no real high availability solutions. The decision was, do you put it on one server, or do you have a web front end and a back end server on the SharePoint Team Services side? With Portal Server, it was all in one.
Yeah. Of course, it was easier to architect.
Yeah.
Hey, one question. I remember Microsoft vCentral.
vCentral, yeah.
Right? And they were hosted to SharePoint.
Yep. vCentral hosted SharePoint Team Services.
Team Services.
Yeah.
I wanted to get the reference straight, because I was not sure which was the number.
SharePoint Portal Server hosted 15 workspaces. So it really was tough in a hosting environment. SharePoint Team Services, you could host like 1,000. There was this add-on called the SSC, the self-service creation, so that you could host things. But it was a later add-on. Very few hosters supported. FP Web, one of the companies, was one of the early hosters of SharePoint Team Services.
And the interesting thing about SharePoint Team Services, I mentioned Portal Server, separate product, same SharePoint name. Portal Server, very low adoption, but Team Services happened to be distributed on the front page CD, which came to bite Microsoft in the rear end later on, because we'd go into organizations and there'd be all these Team Services implementations across various departments, and some people would be storing their critical data in there, so we had to try to get it out and put it into a more managed enterprise environment. So,
and it was free, as they would call it. Now they say, oh, you get it with the Windows license.
yes.
So in 2003, we had a couple things come together. One, in 2003, what we had as SharePoint Team Services became Windows SharePoint Services, and became part of the Windows license. And then we had SharePoint Portal Server, and rather than have it have its own paradigm of sites and so on, it tried to build on top of SharePoint Team Services as a portal to make it essentially, on top you have the portal, underneath you have these webs and workspaces, and then you can actually have team sites underneath them, so you can start to build this hierarchy.
And they tend to diffuse these technologies together, and sometimes it worked, but it was kind of like the equivalent of cutting a Toyota in half and then merging it together with a Ford and welding it like this. And you could drive down the road like that, but it's not really one complete solution. It was better than it was before, and you could do certain things